This video is not about ChatGPT, because while ChatGPT is useful and has shown that it is valuable in a lot of ways, there are certain areas where it fails spectacularly and others where it's convincingly mediocre. This video is instead about the next evolution of ChatGPT, GPT-4, an upgraded version of the underlying GPT 3.5 model that's used in ChatGPT. This model brings a lot of changes, and while I'm quite excited about the things it can do, I'm also starting to feel a little gnawing of fear at what it might be capable of doing. Let me explain. First, we need to be on the same page about GPT-4, at least its capabilities relative to its predecessor. Both models are architecturally almost identical, and most of the changes come in the size of the model. The basic objective these models follow is to try to predict the next word given a series of words as input, also known as an autoregressive model. One of the versions of GPT-4 is like this. The other version, the one that's not available to regular people, can do more than one thing. It has multiple inputs. In more scientific term, it is multimodal. In plain English, this means GPT-4 can accept both text and images as part of its input. So now you could do something that you could never do with previous versions of ChatGPT. You can use GPT-4 to extract information from images directly. GPT-4 has vision. Just this capability has many consequences, but this new capability doesn't take away from GPT-4's other functionality, and it does every single one of those tasks significantly better than ChatGPT could. So much so, in fact, that it's starting to make me wonder how this will change the meaning of being productive and the value of the work we do as people. Let's look at a few examples. In the last few months, we've learned a lot about the capabilities of ChatGPT. It is just barely able to pass the bar exam, the exam you have to pass to practice law in most states. It does pretty well in most standardized exams, including the GRE, AP level math and biology, and even the SATs. But GPT-4 completely changes the game on all of these fronts. On the GRE, it achieves 80th percentile on quantitative reasoning and 99th percentile on verbal reasoning tasks, which demolishes the 63rd percentile achieved by its predecessor. For context, I've taken the GRE exam, and after months of studying, my verbal reasoning task was in the 93rd percentile. And this model, without any prior experience or preparation, was able to get the best possible score you can on this. And that's just one example. The story is similar on the LSAT, the bar exam, and all AP level exams. Even on evaluation benchmarks that test this model's ability to reason in a multitude of language-related tasks from 10 to hundreds of subjects, it performs pretty flawlessly, especially compared to GPT 3.5. And this is just in English. Once the researchers translated one of the tests to different languages and let GPT-4 do its thing, it found that even in those other languages, which the model wasn't even specifically trained on, the performance hovers between 70 to 85% accuracy, including on languages that we have very little data for. For context, this is something a human would have a very hard time with. I don't think it's possible for us to gain expertise in the 57 subject areas that are tested even if we lived for hundreds of years. But this model is competent in all of these areas. On top of all of the language tasks, GPT-4 can now do a lot of vision-related work as well. And while it's not quite human level at recognizing patterns in images and describing them, it's pretty close. And it's near the performance of, or better than, the state-of-the-art, purpose-built machine learning models, so future iterations will likely improve on this too. These capabilities of GPT-4 are near human level, and often it's good enough that we can and should end up using GPT-4 to do a lot of the work we otherwise would have to do manually. And this fact does have consequences, not just in how we work, but how we evaluate what it means to be well learned and expert at something. The best way to understand this, and bear with me on the analogy here, is by using math. Think back to grade school. In early education, we're taught to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And we were evaluated often on our ability to do these operations for really large or really complicated numbers. You took pride in your ability to learn the multiplication table up to 10 or 20, in your ability to add together 4 or 5 digit numbers in your head. But as you went up in your grades into middle school and eventually into high school, your ability to do those things became less and less relevant to your success in your math class because you could easily use a calculator to do the basic arithmetic for you. The value of being able to add and subtract complex numbers no longer had a bearing on your future success in this area. As you went up the grades further and learned more and more, a lot of numerical tasks that you were taught to do by hand, you no longer had to do by hand. You had learned to offload those tasks to technology of some sort. Do you remember the last time you did any math by hand? Or ask your accountant if they work on paper or is most of their work done through Excel spreadsheets. As our access to tools evolved, so did the skills that we thought brought value. There was a point in the not too distant past when knowing how to use a computer, knowing how to use Word, PowerPoint, and Excel were considered extraordinary skills. Nowadays, they are expectations. We don't entertain the notion that someone doesn't know how to use these tools. Not using these tools makes you significantly less effective at your job. And not just your job, this bleeds into how you manage your personal life as well. You've learned to use calendar apps to manage your time. You've learned to use social media and professional media to manage your online presence. I think that ChatGPT and now GPT-4 are making a compelling case that they are the next big tools that we will have to learn to use if we want to be taken seriously anywhere in the future. Why would you ever hire anyone if they didn't know the most efficient way of doing the most mundane tasks? If it is good enough to get you 80% of the way there in 1/10 of the time, it's already saving you so much productivity that you can spend that time and energy on other more pressing issues, things that technology can't replicate. This tool, GPT-4, will definitely change the way we view work and change how we derive value from the skills that we have. Schools will have to adjust the skills that they focus on when they're evaluating you, especially in a world where current evaluations can be completely gamed by using a tool like GPT-4 or even just ChatGPT. The workplace will place less value on the tasks that can be easily completed using AI chatbots. This change of values will lead to a higher rate of productivity per person. And during this transition, it might as well mean that certain jobs won't need as many people in them as they used to do. Just like how the Industrial Revolution changed people from being jack of all trades to specializing in a specific skill and thereby be much better at those things than other people, or how the internet changed how we access information, tools like ChatGPT and GPT-4 will change how we do our work in the future. But there's no reason to be pessimistic if we can't keep up. What GPT-4 is showing us is that it can do constrained tasks quite well. In fact, significantly better than its predecessors and almost at a human level, if not sometimes even as good as some of the best of us. And the constraints within which GPT-4 works is expanding with each iteration OpenAI does to the model. But there is one thing we continue to get wrong when we think of models like GPT and just artificial intelligence in general. It's that the world we live in is inherently made by humans, for humans. And the best these models can do is reflect the type of things that humans are capable of doing. In this new era, starting with ChatGPT and now GPT-4, and who knows what else is coming in the near future, we will be encouraged to be more creative in our processes, to build beyond the confines of the routines and systems we've created for ourselves, systems that free up our time to be more creative and to think more about the ways we can progress and to build towards a better future. One where these tools can take care of the mundane to free up our times for the things that are truly, uniquely human and lets us focus on the traits that no AI can replicate.